media isn't just about likes and follows, it's about a visual and business powerhouse, especially platforms like Instagram and TikTok. But how do you go beyond those trends and turn those platforms into tools for real business success? So next up, we have another insightful fireside chat on social business success, harnessing the power of Instagram and TikTok. So please give a big round of applause as our speakers, Avni Sanghavi, the Director of Marketing at Vina Developers, and Bahir Omar, the CEO and founder of Virtual Company, as they come up onto the stage.
Right, so as Simon Sinek says always, starts with the why, famous book for him. Why we're talking today about specifically social media and business. Obviously in business world, I mean, we're not going to talk about algorithms or secret sauces today or anything, but real practices, why it is important to have social media engagement for business as a growth hub. Today, we're talking about business world. We have to be in social media for different reasons. One of the most important things is exposure. You go to GITEX, it's a global tech event every single year. You'll find the biggest tycoons there. Who doesn't know Microsoft? Who does not know these companies like Oracle, et cetera, et cetera? Everybody knows them, but they're there for the exposure, for making sure that they are part of that tech event, that they're present. They are there for the, making sure that people see them, they hear them every single time. Today in business world, we have to be on social media, not just for the exposure, for business conversion, for ads. If you think back probably in the 60s, 70s, where TV was the hype, that's a platform where people used to put ads on TV because it became the platform for advertisements for companies, because that's where the family gathered around TV. That's where the people, as an audience and targeted audience, have gathered there. So today we're going to talk about more insights about the business, as using the tools for social media and how we drive business growth to it. Avni?
So Instagram in itself is a universe on its own, because coming from Meta, it has the affiliation of Facebook and affiliation of WhatsApp as well. So there are a lot of insights which are shared within the Meta world, so that they can give a better experience to the customer. And also the engagement rate is about 1 to 3% in Instagram. Also, having said that, if you have to search for an alien, you need to search the universe. The same way, when you want to search for a customer, you need to get on social media. Also, having said that, the visibility and scalability is very high in Instagram. People from, let's say, 15 to 65 to 75 are also there on Instagram. So a lot of age has been covered. People have now, number of users with various age factors are also part of Instagram, so which gives a lot of visibility. And TikTok, the younger generation is on TikTok, and the engagement rate, as Bahir mentioned, is about 6 to 7%, which is very high engagement rate.
Right. So from our experience, I worked with multinational companies for about 20 years of my life. One of the things that really strike using this as a growth hub, I say, these tools. I remember when I used to work with Stanley Black & Decker, it's a US company. We used to be in the consumer business. At that time in Saturday market, one of the categories that we had, it was, for example, a home cooker, which is the air fryer. They came last to it, right? And it was zero market share for us. The prime categories was done by a competition in there. We decided to go and create a campaign using a powerful tools, which is obviously the Instagram, and a campaign been launched using one of the influencers who's related to cooking. And she was, I would say, a micro-influencer, not very famous, but she had a very unique style of preparing the recipes. So we did an ad. Actually, she photoshoot that at home. So one of the messages that I want to have today is, you don't have to spend a lot of money thinking differently as a marketeer to empower your business and to have that campaign running. Once we did that and we launched it, from 0 market share to 22% only in 1 month and a half. That category flew like nothing. We didn't invent something new at that time, but it's about putting it in front of the right audience and connecting it to a landing page on the e-commerce of the partner. That's really what happened. And really the sales were shooting up the roof. To have a 22% in just 1 season, that was a tremendous success. So that's one of the classical examples on how social media really works as a powerhouse for businesses and how we can utilize that. Not really with throwing so much money and throw much budgets into it, but thinking differently in how we position things on social media. Probably you have similar experiences in India as well.
Yeah, so influencers are a very big part of the ecosystem in India. So one of our campaigns, real estate project that we launched through, we did a 360 marketing campaign, but we also took the influencer under us, and so the influencer, she was a female and her specialty was in real estate. So all that she did was real estate projects. So anybody who was looking at her knew that she's going to promote a project which is going to be delivered on time or going to do what it has stated. So it is going to stick to its word as a developer. So we got a lot of engagement, a lot of buzz and a lot of traction to the site because of the influencer promoting the project. And the engagement rate was extremely high. And to add on to the conversions, you definitely need to have more Instagram ads supporting the influencer so that if the customer is seeing the ad, the customer is also ending up filling my form or giving their contact details or just dropping in a message to know more about the project.
Great, and when you think about, for example, 2 platforms, TikTok and Instagram specifically. Instagram will give you the reach if you're basically a broad spectrum product. So it depends on what target audience you have, because these are the basics. You have to know who your target audience are, what kind of categories you're targeting. And therefore, Instagram is a bigger platform for businesses where it has a big spectrum of audience and targeted audience. If you talk about TikTok, and the previous panel was talking, a Fireside chat, it was talking about Generation Z, which is very, very active on TikTok. It's more toward trends. So if you are basically a brand that talks to younger generations, and that's your audience, so definitely TikTok is the platform you want to put your money on, put your content on, and basically you get more engagement and reach to your customers. And nevertheless, it's a great opportunity for different companies who are targeting those generations for reach purposes. They have really a very high engagement rates versus the Instagram. If you're doing Instagram basically for different products. Let's say you have a cosmetics. If you're targeting anybody who's younger than probably 20 years old, so definitely TikTok is the place. There has been, sorry? Can I ask a question? Questions are in the last, or? Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Hello, nice to meet you. Sorry to interrupt.
No problem.
Just a fast question.
Sure.
You are talking mostly about B2C, right? Can you explain how we can use Instagram, TikTok to B2B?
Correct.
Sector?
Right. Great question.
Thanks.
So I'll give you another example of B2B things that we did, for example. We're actually today a technology company, so we're enabler, right? So there is a lot of integrators who uses our technology to be part of their events. So they're not a customer, they're not the end user. So they're basically enablers. We call it integrators, audiovisual integrators. So one of the things that we do, we market Instagram through the targeted audience like events, planners, people who do businesses in installations, people who do businesses in big, I would say, entertainment sector. people who plan big exhibitions. Those are not end users, they're actually B2B. So what we do special campaigns to enable them, the message, the content. It is basically a targeted audience that we choose, and we run those ads to those specific people. So at least when they go to their social media every single day to post for their customers or to even upload content, they will see our targeted campaigns there. Maybe you have also?
Yeah, so in the case of B2B, where I am, as a business, the customer, I would have seen ads on Instagram for a HRMIS software, for a SAP software, for a CRM software, for a corporate gifting, for for a facility management services. I have seen so many of those ads as well. So they are targeting me as a business, and they are doing it very well, because I've end up coming to know about more companies through Instagram and when they have put their ad on Instagram. I'm sorry, I don't have an example for TikTok because TikTok is banned in India, so I can speak about Instagram.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thanks. Can I just add something? For example, if your clients from like a corporate sphere, and there's no, how to say, there's no campaign that can we show to CEO or CPO or whatever. Your clients are big, for example, banks, right? Or maybe big corporates. And how we can, is there any ways to target to that kind of clients?
Right. I think there is. But if it's a specifically today's discussion, and I'll just go off the topic to answer this because it's just chat and it's a business environment, obviously. So the best platform, in my opinion, once you want to reach decision makers, and you're talking about B2B specifically, it's LinkedIn. It's not really Instagram because that's the personal account. Although that you can have probably some of that kind of floating ads that goes to people who are into marketing, and it probably the personal account of a CEO or of a CMO in one of the corporates, but technically speaking, it's more toward the professional networks. So that's more LinkedIn. So that's a different tone of voice, that's different campaigns, that's different targeting. But I would go, if I want to target these people, I would go on LinkedIn and have the promotions and the companies and all the money thrown there for targeting those executives especially. Again, my experience come from, as I said, multinational American companies where American companies, they believe in direct business model. So you have to get to know the people, you have to do the homework of preparing who's that person and start getting the connections and networking to reach these people directly. I think in the professional networks, LinkedIn works the best to your question.
Yeah, thanks.
You're
Great.
welcome. Yes?
Hi. I would actually like to counter that point. I would say yes, LinkedIn is probably the best channel to approach people in a professional capacity, but isn't that where it is expected the most as well? And Instagram and TikTok, I think in the end, if we understand why people come onto those platforms, we can even still target those people because they're people at the end. So, and they're not expecting to be targeted over there. So I guess if you do create a content that appeals to them as a person and catches their attention, then, I mean, there's certain overlapping all the time anyways. You cannot avoid, or you cannot just target B2B and you cannot just target B2C, because end of the day, they are the same people who are looking at those, let's say, pieces of content, right?
Right.
So,
but let me ask you a question. If you want to buy a car, you go to a car showroom. You don't go to a mall where they do activation of a car to make a decision to take that. It's exactly the same. So as I said in my answer, and that's just a personal opinion based on experience, basically if you go to Instagram, that's your personal space. That's the interest of people. That's where after working hours, seeing a personal pages and what interests me as a person. I'm still a human being where you of course, you can reach me there. And there's a lot of, by the way, we got a lot of customers from their personal pages on Instagram. But I'm talking about a trend. Today, if you put your money as a corporate, where will you put it? I mean, for CMOs, for marketing executives, for people who are really like, they have the KPIs to convert that into sales. That's one of the most interesting discussions. And I don't say that there is wrong or right, but it's about how the algorithms work and how the social listening and how you design the campaign and how you target the audience. As I say, there's a lot of variables today in the social media that's been changing a lot since their appearance, to the existence. But I always say, like, percentage-wise, if I look into it, how many sales got from the car showrooms versus activations in the mall? That's what I'm talking about.
That's a fair point. Thanks.
Thank you. More questions? Okay. So
I would here like to speak about one of the, so usually we use Instagram to find leads for a real estate project, a residential project from Instagram. Instagram, Facebook, Google, all of these, but specifically speaking about Instagram, though Instagram it happens to be a good portal to generate leads, and also when we get leads, you have a certain percentage of junk which you have to accept when it comes. So the junk rate is usually 80 to 90%, and 10% is what you have to work on. And when you work on, suppose the lead follows the telecalling, and when that happens in a way where the customer is satisfied with the information that he needs, you end up, like end up having more 10% of conversion out of the 10%, and that is where we have site visits. And let's say around 7 to 9% is the conversion from the visit to booking through these leads. Also, having said that, direct sales and channel partner sales also happen, but also the channel partners want you to be on social media and also want you to promote ads through social media, so that they also invest from their end in your project and in doing social media ads. And also they would want that visibility of your project so that they start investing in it and start working for your project. And that visibility adds to the visibility on digital media also adds to their functioning as to if this specific project is listed in the digital market and the ads are seen, it becomes easier for them to generate business as well and get more customers to the site.
Right, and I want to touch base also on a very important topic once we talk about social media and these platforms, is the content. Everybody says content is king, right? So it's all about storytelling. So today is not about, and I heard lots of questions in the room before about how to make a decision on buying process, how to convert that into a buying decision. The idea, of course, when we create ads, and it's been like a long industry since it's been on the TV, as I say it. The technology evolved. Now we have social media as platforms, and everybody's using it. So there is good examples and bad examples. You've been talking about the AI, and there is good examples or any bad examples, and everything. We have to understand first the needs for any business. Like, who's your target audience? Why do I need to sell it? If it's a compelling story, it has to be a compelling story for different segments. So a lot of companies today, they adopt a multiple generation approach. So they have like a different versions of their ads targeted to each one on different platforms. So if you go to Generation Z, for example, you'll find them announcing an ad on the TikTok with a different vibe, with a different thing that relates and resonates with the people in that specific category. And if you go to Instagram, you'll have a different version of it. It's the same message, but it's differently in how you say it. And I always say, knowing the information is something, and working with that information and turn it into an interpretation or a message to your audience is something different. So I think businesses have to be more considerate today on how they focus based on their targeted audience, from which generation it is, which the platforms they need to engage with more. That's where they need to focus, and they spend their money on it. It's no longer like, it's not ticking the boxes anymore. A lot of marketers say like, yeah, we've been on the YouTube, we've been on Instagram, we did this, but there is no results. Yeah, of course. Algorithm is part of it. I'm not talking about technicalities here. But I'm talking about knowing really who your audience is, who your targeted customers is, who's going to take the buying decision. I remember when I used to work in one of the American companies for industrial products. We used to go to factories, for example, and everybody was like, we have this, the catalog selling. Like, we have this. Which brand do you use? We have alternative. It's not about what do you have. Today you have to respond to what the client needs are. And that's very important. You have to listen to your customers to understand where is the problem. You have to pinpoint the problem, and therefore asking questions, as I say always in sales process, is the most interesting journey to understand your customer's pain and fix it. That's exactly what doctors do. Have you seen a doctor before you walk in and says like, take this pill? Never. You have to ask the questions and understand the symptoms, and therefore you treat it. And it goes everywhere in any business. I believe is going to be the same.
Also that once you create, from the data that you collect from the ads that you do, and also the word of caution over here about running ads on social media is it's always a trial and error. You're always learning. You're always changing your game. You're always optimizing. Not all ad campaigns run the same way. An ad campaign for a very affordable project could run a specific way, and your ad campaign for a very luxurious product or service can run in another way. So there are various, there is no fixed answer to a problem on social media. And also having with Instagram gives you that analytics and data. You can build a buyer's persona as to understanding that who is my buyer, what is he looking for, what would be his ideal age, what would be his likes, dislikes. And that happens through a lot of research. But once you have that, let's say you have created 1 or 2 or 3 buyer personas, your targeting becomes more easier and more quicker. But having said that, it's always a trial and error. But you can master the game with some practice on it.
Yeah, and when Avni mentioned rightly, like, it's going to work, and it's not for everybody, by the way. There is no rule here that there is a secret formula for somebody. You're going to adopt it and take it. That you have to go through a learning curve, no matter how good you are with marketing team, social media, etc., because every product is different. Every messaging is different. Every audience is different. Interpretations are different. Generations are different. And therefore, you have to embrace the failure. People say, like, you learn nothing from success if you just click from it the first time. You have to fail to learn, and you have to navigate your way. And I call it the art of navigation. So you have to navigate your road on how you approach the right audience with the right messages on these platforms, and that will become your best practices. But the best practice, usually it's you. It's for you, for your brand, for your persona. And everybody should really pay attention to that. And as I said, the biggest companies right now spending millions of dollars over the social media. They really dwell into it. And as Amr said in the previous panel discussion, he said about the engagement where you get authentic content creation versus very famous influencing people on these platforms, and how you get a higher engagement rates with authentic content. I agree to that, and that's why I think my advice today to people and business owners, look for authentic content, people who have passion on what they do, people who really know what they're doing, and connect your brand to them. It doesn't have to be a bias. It doesn't have to be like, we're giving you this, but people who really have authenticity in their content creation and they are related to this, they're going to give you the best content. because they are already doing it for fun. That's their passion. So when you give them that kind of opportunity to work on it, trust me, it's going to be really very good results. So my advice is like find ways on how you go around campaigns and how you go around putting your products in front of the audience. It doesn't have to be always expensive. It doesn't have to be always like you have to throw a fortune on it. And that's a big proof of what TikTok has came with the higher engagement rates versus previous platforms that have been there even before, like Meta.
Also, one more thing that helps is customer data platforms, which you can use, which kind of churns the data, understands the data, recognizes the data, and filters out the data into a specific segment and tells you that, okay, this is your specific data, and this is your to-go data that you should look for. And these platforms really help. And you can go back to them and improve your campaign each time and study the analytics and revise on those. So those platforms also help.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point that you mentioned about analytics, because really it gives you the feedback on the campaigns that you launch, and you keep refining and enhancing. One of the things that struck me the most, I'm a big fan of team buildings in corporates. So when we did the Marshmallow Challenge, I don't know how many of you know Marshmallow Challenge, but it's proven that the kindergarten as a group did the best results ever there as this challenge, compared to CEOs, compared to probably the nearest to it was the engineering graduates from engineering, because they have that logic on how to build structures using macaroni sticks and a marshmallow. The fun part there, why kindergarten scored the most, kids in kindergarten scored the most, for a simple fact, they do at prototype, they fail, refine, fail again, refine, prototype, fail. So they spend the whole time building quickly a prototype, failing, refining, failing, refining. And that's been like a very interesting experiment in business world, for a simple reason. Because everybody else did the planning, as we know it in business world. They spend like at least 70% of the time planning, then executing 30%. And that's where you have that assumption, which is the marshmallow is very light, but not to a spaghetti. It will fall off because that's a higher weight. But because we live with assumptions, kids have no assumptions. So they do prototyping and failing. So they learn quickly. One of the mentors that I used to work for, he told me, Bahar, if you want to fail quickly. So if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's fine. Embrace it. But that's the time that you change it and refine it and do something better out of it.
Also, Instagram can be divided into, like, the options that it provides can be used as the top funnel, where you can have short form videos. The middle funnel, where you want to target a specific concern that they have and have a video on that specific concern. And the lower funnel, where it would be about conversion, where you have live streaming. I would like to quote the recent example. I went to Bangkok and I went for shopping, and somehow Bangkok has, even the streets in Bangkok, street shopping, every shop does live streaming, and they sell things which are worth $5, $10. They're not like expensive things, all around the world. I mean, that is the exposure they get through live streaming. And you see all of them going here and there with the stick and the phone, but they have really cracked how to get more customers all around the world sitting in that specific shop on the street and not having a proper establishment. But then they have kind of done that and got a lot of sales, not in Bangkok itself, but from the entire world.
Thank you very much. I think we're left with 1 minute, very particular on timing. So probably if there is any more questions that we can conclude the session. It's a strong light, so I cannot see any hands. Yeah?
They understood it.
So thank you very much, Avni, and thank you guys for being here, for listening. It's been really enjoyable days here at the conference, talking to brilliant minds among leaders and people from different backgrounds, different countries. So thank you for being here.